Hello students, welcome back to our subject logistics and manufacturing supply chain and distribution. So this is the starting of unit 3 part 1. So when you are seeing in this one, we'll start with the drivers of supply chain and performance. So when you are talking about drivers of supply chain and performance, these are the various factors which you need to look into. So facilities, inventories, transportation, information, sourcing and pricing. So these are the various drivers. So let us see one by one how these drivers are affecting the supply chain performance. So the major driver of supply chain performance consists of three logistical drivers and three cross-functional drivers. Logistical drivers are facilities, inventory, transportation. So cross-functional drivers are information, sourcing, and pricing. So company supply chain achieve the balance between the responsiveness and efficiency that best meets the needs of the company's competitive strategy. So with this picture, we can see how the efficiency is taken into consideration and responsiveness from the supply chain structure. So these phases, inventory, transportation, facilities, information, sourcing, and pricing. So these are the various factors which I have said, and how these contribute in the uh, phase of efficiency and responsiveness. So the efficiency and responsiveness is one of the key elements in supply chain structure. So when we see facilities, places where the inventory is stored, assembled, or being fabricated. So it could be even a production site or a storage site, because when you consider any OEMs like Hyundai or any Ford Motors or Amazon, Flipkarts and all, when you talk about facilities, the production site will be one phase, and the storage site, which is going to deliver all those products, will be another phase. So we have to consider both the sites in for a smooth SCMs. So facilities that are actual physical locations in the supply chain network where your products are being stored, assembled, or fabricated. So the two major types of facilities are, as we said, production site, which are known as the factories, storage site, which is known as warehouses. So factories can be built to accommodate one of two approaches to the manufacturing. One is the product focus and functional focus. We'll see about the product focus. A factory that takes a product focused performance, the range of different operation which is required to make a given product line, from fabrication of different product parts to the assembly of these products. Because when you say product focus, say for example, if you take a car, there are nearly more than 1,000 parts which is need to be fabricated, then assembled to complete the entire product. So that is mostly about product focus. When you talk about functional focus, a functional focus approach concentrates on performing just a few operations, such as only making a select group of parts or doing only the assembly phase. That is, from this aspect, we are talking about the assembly phases. That is the end assembly. That is before supplying to a customer. Next comes the inventory. When you talk about inventory, or even raw materials, work in progress, that is known as WIP, finished goods, is within a supply chain. So inventory is mainly contributes all these aspects, and inventory has a set of specific policies which is need to be taken into account. As you see in the picture, you need a raw material so that you can do a work in progress product, which is then assembled to a finished goods for sales, as shown in the example over here. Inventory encompasses all the raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods within a supply chain. Changing the inventory policies can dramatically alter the supply chain efficiency and responsiveness. It could be in a positive note or also in a negative note. That means it could backfire also. So we need to consider when changing the policies dramatically, we need to consider all the possibilities. So there are three basic decisions to make regarding the creation and holding of inventory. One is cycle inventory, safety inventory, and seasonal inventory. Cycle inventory, this is the amount of inventory needed to satisfy the demand for the product in the period between purchases of the product. So this is a major or a common inventory which is being incorporated. Safety inventory is inventory that is held as a buffer against uncertainty. If the demand forecasting could be done with a perfect accuracy, then the only inventory that would be needed would be the cycle inventory alone. That is, as we said over here. Seasonal inventory is one of the inventory which is built up in anticipation of the predictable increase in the demand that occur at certain times of the year. As we said, like if we see in our countries, we can state that during Diwali or Pongal, the seasonal inventory is quite high, and the anticipation for uh, that particular season will be high for demand from the customer perspective. So, following that, we need to look into the transportation, which is the next driver of the SCM. Moving inventory from point to point in a supply chain is one of the key phases in a transportation aspect. Combination of transport modes and routes are the next phase that is will be seen in the third part of the this third unit. Over here, transportation entails moving inventory from point to point, as we said. It can also take form of many combination of modes and routes. That is, with each owns performance characteristics. So there are, if you see, basically six basic modes of transports are there. One is a ship, which is very cost effective, but also the slowest mode of the transport, followed by rails, which we have seen directly also, which is very cost effective but can be very slow. This mode is also restricted to use between the locations that are served by the rail lines alone. Because if you don't have a proper rail lines, then using this particular mode will be not effective. Pipelines can be very effective but are restricted to commodities, that is, liquids or gases, or water, oil, and natural gases. So, especially if you see, oil and natural gases are the ones who uses the pipelines very effective. And even for the water aspect, throughout the cities and all, the water is transported through pipelines, which is an efficient manner. So, trucks are relatively quick and very flexible mode of transport. Trucks can go almost anywhere. The cost of this mode is prone to fluctuations uh, because of the cost of the fuel being fluctuated at various conditions and all. Following that, aeroplanes are the very fast mode of transport and are very responsive. This mode is very expensive and somewhat limited by availability because to the appropriate airport facilities. Electronic transport is the fastest mode of transport and is very flexible and cost effective. However, it can be only used for movement of certain types of products such as electric energy, data, and products composed of data such as music, pictures, and text. So these are the various modes and how it can be combined for transportation aspect. Following that will be the information. So this is another driver for SCM. So data analysis regarding the inventory, transportation, facilities throughout the entire supply chain, where the information is one of the key role, plays a huge impact in the supply chain. Potentially the biggest driver of supply chain and performance is also information. It serves as a connection between various stages of a supply chain, allowing them to coordinate and maximize total supply chain profitability. It is also crucial to daily operations of each stage. Example like production scheduling is one of the common things which is being done on a daily aspect. Information is used to the following purpose. So, coordinating daily activities related to the function of other supply chain drivers such as facility, inventory, and transportation. Forecasting and planning to anticipate the need for the future demand. Available information is used to make the tactical forecast to guide the setting of the monthly and quarterly production schedules and time. But this is subject to change at the various stages. Enabling technologies, like many technologies are being into existence for sharing, analyzing the information in the supply chain. So if you think the managers has to decide the technologies, how to integrate these type of technologies into the companies, like if you talk about Internet of Things, ERP, RFID, all these new technologies could be incorporated into the SCM for a better performance and efficiency. Now, if you talk about sourcing, the next key driver. So, functions of firm performance and functions that are being outsourced. So, when you talk about sourcing, we can outsource certain phases or a certain process to a third party, which could be uh, efficient and also could be within the financial aspect also. It will be considered very sound. Supplier evaluation and selection is one of the major role in sourcing. Sourcing decisions are crucial because they affect the efficiency and responsiveness in a supply chain management. In-house versus the out-house decision, improving the efficiency and responsiveness. So sourcing is one of the key factors if you say that, because you have to receive and analyze different set of codes. Then following that, you need to audit and validate the products. You have to find that identify the potential suppliers initially, follow the supplier nominations. You have to go with an RFQ from them. Then you have to do a negotiation, followed by the validation and receiving the and analyzing the codes from them. So third party analyzing will also consume a little more of time, but it is very effective. Sourcing is a set of business process required to purchase goods and services. Managers must first decide which task will be outsourced. So this is one of the key phases the managers has to take up a decision. Those that will be performed within the firm or outside. So in-house or out-house, the most significant sourcing decision for a firm is whether to perform a task in-house or outsource to a third party. This decision is driven by majorly by the managers, and also different uh, areas of supply chain has to be taken into consider for building up the profitability for the organization. So selection of a supplier must be decided on number of uh, many number of parameters has to be taken into account just for one single particular activity. Then the criteria along which the supplier will be evaluated and how they will be selected is through direct negotiation or resort to an auction. Usually right now, with the help of AIs and all, we are developing uh, analytical hierarchy process for even supplier selections have been done, and many companies also incorporate them in the selection criteria. Following that will be the pricing aspect. Price is associated with goods and services provided by a firm to the supply chain. It determines the amount of charge customers in a supply chain. Also, it can be used to match the demand and supply. So pricing is one of the key factors where many organizations will tend to give some outputs on these aspects, because pricing comes to the major affecting parameter to a customer. So based on that, the demand might increase positively also, because this determines how much a firm will charge for a goods and service which is made available in the supply chain. Pricing affects the behavior of the buyer of the goods or the services, thus affecting the supply chain performance directly. If you take up any example, transportation companies vary its charges based on lead time provided by the customers. It is very likely that customers who value efficiency will order early, and customers who value responsiveness will be willing to wait and order just before they need a product which needs to be transported. This directly affects the supply chain in terms of level of responsiveness required as well as the demand profile that the supply chain attempts to serve. It is said pricing is also a lever that can be used to match the supply and demand. So when you talk about pricing decisions, fixed price versus menu pricing, a firm must decide whether it will charge a fixed price for its supply chain activities or a menu with the prices that vary with some other attributes, such as responsive time or location of the delivery. Every day, low pricing versus high pricing, high low pricing will be taken into consideration. So, what are the obstacles to achieve the strategic fit for the supply chain management? Increasing variety of products, decreasing the product life cycle, increasing demanding customers, fragmentation of supply chain ownership, and globalization. So these are the various obstacles to achieve a strategic fit for a supply chain management. So with this, we'll be winding up the first part of the unit 3. Thank you.